Okay, let's dive right into something really fascinating today. Apple, their newest iOS design.
Hmm.
And what jumps out immediately are these icons. They're, well, super refined, translucent. They really do look like a liquid glass.
They absolutely do. That liquid glass description feels spot on.
Now, I think for a lot of us, the first reaction is just, wow, okay, that looks beautiful. Just a really elegant update.
Right. Purely aesthetic.
Yeah, an aesthetic refinement, maybe even like a nod back to skeuomorphism, that old real world texture thing.
Seen that way on the surface, yeah.
But as we started digging into the sources for this deep dive, something deeper seemed to pop out.
Definitely.
It feels like more than just pixels looking pretty. It feels like a quiet signal, maybe. A hidden strategic move for Apple's future that's bigger than just the phone.
And that's what's so compelling, isn't it? How this apparently simple visual change could actually be, the tip of an iceberg. It carries these really deep implications.
Okay, so what's our mission here then? What are we trying to unpack?
Our mission today is really to get under the hood of why this isn't just about looking good, why it's more of a design philosophy made for transparency,
Transparency. Okay.
and what that actually means for your understanding of how technology is changing, not just around you, but sort of merging into your world.
All right, let's start with the visuals then, what you actually see. These new iOS icons, they are striking.
Undeniably.
Very polished, super translucent, almost like ethereal. They really nail that liquid glass feeling.
Hmm. Some of the descriptions we saw mentioned them looking like droplets.
Yeah, or how they seem to shimmer. And this is key, I think, how they let the environment bleed through.
That's a great way to put it. The environment bleeding through. It creates this immediate aesthetic appeal, right?
Really?
It feels softer, more integrated somehow.
Totally. It just feels different than the solid icons we're used to.
And that immediate appeal is naturally what grabs most people.
Mm.
They see it as a style refresh.
Just the next step in interface design.
Exactly. A logical evolution of Apple's look and feel. A familiar pattern.
Okay, but then, as you said, the sources started hinting at something else. This is where we shift gears, right? From just, oh, it's pretty, to seeing a deliberate philosophy.
A design philosophy, yes.
Yeah.
Because while they are elegant, the sources strongly suggest they aren't just designed for elegance. That transparency isn't accidental.
It has a purpose.
It has a very distinct purpose. The core argument seems to be that these icons, well, they aren't meant to live on a phone screen forever, not just flat on a screen.
Okay. So where are they meant to live?
Their nature suggests they're designed to float, to layer seamlessly onto your field of vision.
Ah, okay. Floating. Layering onto your vision. That sounds different.
That's where the real sort of long-term intention starts to come into focus.
So if they're meant to float and layer onto our vision, where's that vision happening? It smells like augmented reality, doesn't it?
Bingo. That's the direct link. It really feels like these icons are fundamentally designed for glasses.
Glasses. Like Apple Vision Pro now.
And maybe, the smaller, lighter AR glasses people expect down the road.
Okay, so there's a functional reason for this transparency in AR. It's not just looks.
Absolutely fundamental.
Mm-hmm.
Think about using AR. What's a huge potential problem?
Getting overwhelmed. Too much stuff floating around.
Exactly. Visual clutter. Imagine trying to walk around or interact with your world, and there's a solid, opaque app icon just sitting there.
Right. It'd be like a Post-it note stuck on your glasses, blocking your view.
It might as well be a brick wall in your line of sight, as one source put it, but
But if it's translucent,
yeah,
like this liquid glass.
then it frames the world instead of blocking it. It's like looking through clean glass. The digital information is there, but it doesn't obstruct the real world.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. It's not just elegance then, it's critical usability in AR.
Crucial usability. It ensures the digital layer enhances reality. It doesn't fight with it.
So this isn't just about aesthetics changing, it's about preparing for a whole new way of interacting with tech, how it sits in our world.
Mm.
So what's the bigger strategy? How does Apple, prepare us for this shift with just some icon changes?
Well, the thinking is this is part of Apple preparing us slowly, incrementally.
Like easing us into it.
Exactly. By shifting our expectations of what software looks like, they're subtly training our eyes
Training our eyes how?
to accept these translucent layers, to understand depth cues in digital interfaces, parallax that effect, where things seem to shift based on distance.
Right, the things you actually feel and perceive naturally in the real world, and which becomes super important in AR.
These are all elements you feel in AR, essential for navigating those spatial interfaces intuitively.
And we know Tim Cook has been talking about AR being the next major computing platform for years.
For years. This design direction fits perfectly into that long-term vision. Apple rarely makes huge leaps, right?
No, they layer incrementally. That's the word you use.
It layers
Yeah.
incrementally. And if AR is the big goal, then iOS, your phone's interface today, becomes the first layer.
The training ground, the place where they introduce these concepts first.
The initial conditioning for what's next, making these ideas feel normal before they put them on your face.
Wow. Okay, so when you really put it all together, these liquid glass icons, they aren't really for your phone, are they? Not ultimately.
It seems they're designed for your world, or at least for the augmented version of your world that Apple is quietly building.
Layer by subtle layer.
Yeah. So what looks like maybe just a liquid glass trend,
Yeah.
it's presented as much more, a deliberate stepping stone.
Towards that AR future.
Right. The deeper insight here is that Apple is not just redesigning iOS. In a way, they're subtly, step-by-step, redesigning reality, or at least how you'll interact with a version of it.
Making the groundwork changes now so their future vision feels natural, feels intuitive when it arrives.
Precisely.
And that brings us towards the end of this deep dive. It's quite a journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
We started with what looks like a simple, albeit beautiful, design update in iOS.
Mm-hmm. Just icons.
And we've sort of unpacked how it might carry these huge implications for the future of technology, and specifically how you interact with it, in ways maybe you haven't even pictured yet.
So the question to leave you with, to sort of mull over,
Yeah.
is this just a clean design update, a nice visual refresh, or is Apple already designing for devices, for experiences that we literally haven't even seen yet?
That's a good question. Keep an eye on the subtle shifts, maybe. Sometimes the quietest signals.
They often tell you the most about where things are really headed.